everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Constable Boonstra, and this is
Constable Clifford.
And we're excited to share this online so that if you're not able to make a live info session or another meeting or meet the recruiter that we have, that we are able to arm you with a bunch of information so that you can figure out if this is the right time for you to apply with us as a police officer. We will also be talking about operational support officers, experienced officers, our mentoring program, and other opportunities we have here at the department. So again, thank you for joining us. Right away, actually, I'll go back just for a second with this slide called More Than a Badge. This is something that we really hold true to our hearts, in that this job is not just about going out there and enforcing laws, etc. Although that is a large part of what we do, it's also about the community and working together to make Abbotsford the safest city in BC, which is our mission statement. So, in saying that, again, we're excited to have you here with us today, and hopefully you learn a little bit about us and our process. So what we want to do today is leave you with learning about our department and become really informed about what you need to know to become competitive in our process, and also provide you with a roadmap to success. And what that means is we, when through teaching and everything else that we do with our applicants that come in, we know that everyone comes in at a different place, and so sometimes you may not be in the right place to apply or ready to apply. So it depends on where you're coming from. And so I will talk a little bit about me first. I'm an 18-year member with the Abbotsford Police. I've only been at this department. I was in school, went to school at Abbotsford Senior when I graduated, went to UFV for a couple of years in criminal justice, went into fitness directing, became a fitness director for the City of Abbotsford and the City of Surrey, kind of my roadmap there, and then I launched into a policing career. And since I've been here, I've been in patrol for 11 years. I had a family as well, and then I went to youth squad and then came to recruiting, which I'm just coming out of now, and Constable Clifford is now walking into. So that's my little bit of my roadmap. What about you?
Okay, so yeah, I've been in policing here at Abbotsford Police Department for 17 years. I had a little bit more of a direct roadmap. I came out of high school knowing that policing was really what I wanted to do, so I went on to UFV and I got my degree in criminal justice there. And then shortly after that, well, during my degree, I actually got to do a practicum at Abbotsford Police Department, which was amazing. And then shortly after that, I applied and got hired. And I spent the majority of my career in patrol and have just recently moved into recruiting, taking over from Constable Boonstra.
Awesome. Okay, so what we want to do today is really have you ask yourself questions. I think it's important that when you're launching into a new career, whatever that career is, that you ask yourself certain questions to see if you're really ready for that type of career, and do you really understand the demands of the job. So do you meet all the minimum requirements of this job? And we will have a slide and we'll explain to you just in a minute as to what those requirements are. Do you understand the nature of what police work is? There's a lot of opportunity to go online, of course, and see videos or even watch some TV shows, not all of them, but get a feel for what police officers do. So do you understand the nature of work of what that is? Do you have a lifestyle that exhibits exemplary moral and ethical character? Do you do the right thing when no one's watching? Do you make good decisions? Okay, we are going to hire someone and pay them good money to make great decisions, right? So if you come from a background where you haven't made the best decisions, this job might be challenging for you. So again, you need to really think, is this a job that you're able to make good critical decisions when no one's watching? And are you able to make those decisions under stress? So at times, we're going to be thrown into situations as police officers when you need to make critical choices and decisions very quickly, and sometimes under very stressful situations. And oftentimes, that might be a question you may not be able to answer right away. It might be something that you learn through training and you become stronger at. The mandatory requirements, just so you know, you must be a minimum age of 19 years of age. You must be a Canadian citizen or have your permanent permanent residency for a minimum of 2 years. You must have graduated high school or have a GED. It's also important you need your valid first aid certificate with an AED component. We look for a Class 5. You must have a Class 5 driver's license, plus you must have a great driving record. We're giving you a 3,000-pound vehicle to drive Code 3 at throughout the city. We need to make sure that your driving is good and that you have a very clean driving record. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up in just a sec. Excellent physical condition. We do have physical testing you have to complete and get a competitive score, so ensuring that you are ready physically and that you've had your eye exam done. So a part of the application package is having your visual acuity done so that we're able to see that your eyes are ready and good enough to become a police officer with us. And no criminal convictions of which a pardon has not been granted. A lot of this job, and I will say, is being assertive with people. And sometimes that can be a bit of a challenge. There are certain situations where you need to be more firm, of course, but you have to be able to talk to people. And so being assertive and being calm and collected is a large part of what we do. So can you be assertive when the situation demands it, but also remain calm and collected? Is physical fitness a part of your regular lifestyle? Are you emotionally stable and mature? And can you work effectively with people from diverse backgrounds and a variety of situations? Other questions, are you prepared for shift work? Do you understand the impact of that? So I can tell you, Constable Clifford and I are both mums, and that can be a bit of a challenge sometimes because we have kids in sports and extracurricular activities. So you have to understand that sometimes you may not be able to go to all the baseball games or every single Christmas Eve. So understand that the impact of shift work can be challenging for some.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, the rest of the world kind of operates on the Monday to Friday schedule, and so when you are in the shift work, it can have a big impact because you're not there on the weekends, a lot of them, to do the things that everyone else is doing on the weekends and the rest of your family. So it definitely has quite an impact.
For sure. Can you work both on your own and as part of a team? There are times when you may be by yourself in a car, and there's times when you're going to walk into a file as a group. And so can you do both? Excellent health. Are you in excellent health and free from any medical condition that would affect your ability to be a police officer and do work like that? Can you work without supervision? This is a big one because oftentimes we do ride on our own. We do have some two-man cars, but we do work independently quite a bit. And so are you able to do your work, do your job, do it effectively on your own? And do you serve or do you demonstrate an active interest in working in your community, in serving this community of Abbotsford? That's something we really want to ensure through the application process that you are willing to do. Because this community is very important to both Constable Clifford and I. We've been looking after it for a number of years, and so we take great passion and pride in the people that live here and the citizens that we serve. So knowing that about our candidates is really important. This can be a challenging question for some, and I know for myself it was one of those question marks I had, in that would I be able to use deadly force if required? And I know that I came from a position where I never handled a firearm ever. And so that was something that through training, obviously I became more competent with. So it's not something that, again, you may not feel like, oh, I absolutely could do that. Sometimes it's through the training that you actually get those abilities. And then do you have what it takes to be a member with us? And if you have answered yes to all these questions, we are excited to hear from you. But we also want to really reiterate the being ready. I've been in this job and coming out now for 5 years in recruiting, and just exiting out now and going to my new position. But I can tell you that the people that are the most successful in the application process are already 3 steps ahead. So for example, if they're thinking, okay, I think I want to be a police officer, I know the application process is coming, I want to put my application in, I'm already doing the POPAT, I'm already studying for the ethos exam. Where the challenges I feel lie is that when people, they've already put their application in, we call them to come in for the written testing, and they haven't even looked at what a POPAT is. So again, being prepared, being ready is really, really, really critical. Over to you.
Okay, so I'm going to go over our selection process. So all the steps that you need to go through to get hired with us. So first up is your online application. So you will go online and send in your resume and cover letter. After that, if we approve the resume and cover letter and we think we see something good in it, then we'll send you the written application and integrity and lifestyle questionnaire. So this is quite a long package. In this package, we will ask you many questions about your past, present, and just a lot of questions about how you live your life, and maybe goes into a lot of detail about just past behaviors. So it's called the ILQ, the Integrity and Lifestyle Questionnaire. So in this package, you will be telling us basically all the things from your past, and it's really important in this part of the application that you are fully honest in it, because we don't want anything to not get disclosed there and then come up later in the process. So after we've read through your integrity and lifestyle questionnaire, if we look at it and we think, yep, there's something there and we'd like you to proceed further, the next step is the intake exam, which is the ethos exam. So this is a written exam. There's various components in it. There is memory, there is some mathematical components, and then grammar, spelling, and summarizing. So this exam, it's 60% to pass, but for our agency here at Abbotsford, we require 70% to move on. After that, if you pass our ethos, you will be invited to our POPAT and 2.4 kilometer run. So our POPAT, anyone can go online and look at that, and then after you do our POPAT, you need a time of 4:15 to pass, and then you move on, and we'll go right after your POPAT and we'll do a 2.4 kilometer run, which is not timed, but you do need to keep in mind that everything is competitive in our process. So although it's not timed, you do want to get the best score you can, and same goes with your POPAT. A 4:15 is a pass, but we want a competitive time. So after if you are successful with our POPAT, then you move along to the suitability interview. So that is when you will come in. It's about a 2-hour interview, and you will go over it with myself and someone else. Often Constable Boonstra will be there, or another officer, and we will go through your entire integrity and lifestyle questionnaire. So that's the time we really get to know you, and ask you just a lot of questions of things that maybe came up in your questionnaire. If you are successful in the suitability interview, then you get to go out on 2 ride-alongs. So you'll go out on 1 day shift and 1 night shift, and you'll go out with our members and really get to see what the job is like firsthand. So it's a great experience to get out there and spend some time, get to know the members, and just really see what a day shift and what a night shift and how they're different, and just how the job works, and give you some really good insight. After that, you will move on to our management interview. So the management interview is with our upper management, and that's where they will ask you a lot of behavioral-based questions, and they will kind of go through your package as well. And that interview can be quite lengthy as well. It's about 2 hours, and they will discuss after if they think you're suitable to be hired by us. So it can be quite stressful, but again, preparation is key. So if you are prepared for that interview and the types of questions that you'll be asked, then you're able to get through it successfully usually. After the management interview is your psychological testing. So we have a psychologist, and he sends you a whole questionnaire, and you'll go through testing with him. If you are successful in that, then you move on to the background. So a background can take 3 to 4 weeks usually, and you need to provide 20 personal references and 20 business references, and you will provide these to your background investigator, and they will kind of just do exactly what it sounds like. They are digging into your whole background, kind of trying to touch all areas of your life and different people you've worked with or that you've hung out with socially, and they will do really a deep dive into your background. After your background, if you are successful in that, then you will move on to our polygraph. And a polygraph is exactly how it sounds. So you'll go there, and there might be some areas of focus, and you will have to just sit through the questionnaire with the polygrapher and answer to him. And if you are successful with the polygraph, then you will move on to a medical. and that is the last step. So if you do get through all those steps, then there will be a final review and decision of whether or not you'll be hired with us. And just to reiterate, every step of the way is you're always in competition, and just completing the steps is not enough sometimes. You actually need to remember that you're in competition with everyone else who is in the pool of candidates. Okay, did I miss anything there, Constable Boonstra?
No, I think the only thing I would add to that is that, and we talked about this just briefly, is that the readiness of things. So you as a candidate really have a lot of control over most of these steps, honestly. The written application, how you fill out your forms, how you fill out your resume, cover letter, how the packages are presented to us. The ethos exam, you can go online and Google and look up ethos and come up with sample questions everywhere. You can go to Redline Fitness, you can do the POPAT. You can, if you're not good at interviewing, we have online, you can find an interview coach maybe. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do yourself. I think, again, the thing that we always reiterate is that the ones that don't prepare will not get through. They just will not. So it really falls on you. If this is really a career that you want, you know the steps. We've given them to you today, and of course, they're online and everywhere else. You can always go back and review the steps and then come up with a plan on how you're going to be successful through all the stages of our testing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes our timelines can be quite short of a turnaround for us. So as Constable Boonstra emphasized, it's so important. You might have just submitted your application, but at that point, you need to be thinking ahead, because we might have an exam in the next week, and then the week after that might be the POPAT. So it is just very integral that you are prepared as soon as you have submitted your application.
Yes, exactly. Great. Okay, on to what the benefits and salary are. I think that was yours too.
Okay, yeah, so when you get hired by us, you start getting paid. So you get paid as soon as you start going to Police Academy. So day one, you get hired, you are going to be making $38.12 per hour, which is $79,000, $292. And then once you've gone through all of Academy and you're graduated and you've been out on the road, everyone starts in patrol, and by the end of your 3 years, you'll be making $58.65 an hour. And then in patrol, you actually end up, on paper it says $122,000 approximately, but you actually end up closer to around $128,000, and that is because we now have certain premiums and specialty pay for working in patrol. So that is the minimum you will make after 3 years, is $128,000, and then obviously there's endless opportunities for overtime, and you're inevitably going to be staying late on some shifts and working. So yeah.
Yeah, that's something new actually that we offer, is this patrol premium. This was something that we bargained for in our last contract that not every agency has. We really believe that patrol, the frontline officers that are out there, really have the most exposure to things, and so we want to ensure that we look after them, even if it's with a bit of more money, to ensure that they've got, that we know that, what's the word I'm looking for? We appreciate them. Like they're the frontline officers. The exposure rate of most of the things are going to come to them first and then filter down to other sections. And so, so yeah, that patrol premium was something new for us as of our last contract, and we think it's been pretty good.
Yeah. We also have really great benefits, so those benefits will cover you and your family members. And something unique with policing is that for your retirement, so your pension is actually an 80 factor with us. So that is a combination of your age and years of service. So it's going to be different for everyone, but for someone who starts fairly young and then your years of service, you can retire around 52, 53. So it really is, can be quite an early retirement for some. Yeah.
And then for most police officers, they don't stop. They just find another job somewhere, collect a pension and work a little bit more. All right, so when we look at candidates, and I'm looking at them through our lenses of what we want, we like to look at them through three sort of things that we look for, and those are these things: integrity, maturity, and decision making. So we talked about integrity already a little bit under the moral umbrella, and that, you know, doing the right thing and all those things, and that's really, really important. And sometimes I think we don't want perfect candidates, and sometimes I think it feels like we want the perfect people. That's not it necessarily, because we know that people in their younger ages do make mistakes, us included, I'm sure. But what was the age of which you sort of changed your life, made better decisions, kind of left the past in the past, okay? So, and we know that happens, and that's also maturity, right? So moving from making, especially when you're young, you don't make the best of decisions, but you learn that that's not really going to get you anywhere, and so then you change your path course. So for example, to that would be driving, right? You drive, maybe you're driving as a younger person isn't the best, but as you get older, it's better because you're maturing, right? And then your decision making. So we give you a firearm, we give you a car that can go fast and all those things, and so we have to know, we also give you a tool belt with all the tools. We have to know that the decisions that you make to pull the right tool, to drive the right way, are really done well. And so in doing that, when we're looking at candidates, yes, you can put all the great things down on the paper and everything else, but we also have to look at you as a candidate through this lens to ensure that we're hiring the right people. So what's challenging for me, and I'll say this, probably 3-4 years ago, we had who we thought was a great candidate, and great schooling, degrees, jobs, everything else, and then went on the ride along, and it was a bit of a disaster for them. They were very immature, but something we didn't really catch on that side. So again, we're looking at candidates through all different lenses, all different people will look at you. We really want to ensure that we are hitting the mark with integrity, maturity, and decision making. So just think of that if you're going to be going into this process, that is something, aside from the paperwork and all the steps that you do, that you compete for, we want to ensure that those things are also there as well. So we talked about a roadmap and how important that is, and I like to talk about this just a little bit without going into too much, but we want to talk about sort of where you are now, where you want to be, when you've made decisions that maybe we call them bad decisions, how you've owned them, what you've done to fix them, and we can ensure that you're in your past. So we'll give the example of driving again. You're maybe not a very good driver as a young person, right? You come to us, you say, yeah, 5 years ago, I was a pretty bad driver, but I recognize that now, and policing is a career I want to get into, so now I've changed those driving behaviors, and since then, this last couple of years, I've had no tickets, no interactions with police about my driving. That's showing a record of behavior. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, so we want to see that there's been marked time between making a bad decision to making your better decisions. That time has passed, and we don't have to worry about those things anymore. On your roadmap as well, if you've made great decisions, track those great decisions. I took a leadership course. I did some volunteer work at the police department, or I did some volunteer work at the SPCA, or things that you've done. Maybe you've benched some friends that you believe weren't really good for you in your roadmap. So good decisions that you've made, track those things on your roadmap. And then key points, we just talked about friends and associates, driving habits, schooling, like what have you done for school? So there's this thing where, well, I have to have a degree to become a police officer. Degrees are nice to have. It's not a must-have, though. It's a nice to have for sure, but it doesn't mean that if you have a degree, you're going to be the best police officer. Not so. We have people that come with military experience and other leadership opportunities within their jobs that make them great police officers. Even like hard workers, good construction workers or construction people that work in the trades often can make great police officers. They know how to work. So again, all that can be part of your roadmap. I will say though, if you come from a trades umbrella and you want to become a police officer, there's got to be sort of a nexus for us. Okay, so you became a plumber and maybe you're not liking the job, or something's changed and you want to change careers, totally great. But what else can you do that kind of makes sense to us? Could you maybe do some volunteering? Could you maybe, come out to some of our events and meet the recruiter and talk to us, and we can give you ideas on how you can get leadership opportunities within your work to try to sort of make sense to us. So there's all that opportunity out there for you to build your roadmap and make yourself competitive. Over to you.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about if you don't continue in our process, now what? So if you don't pass some of the initial stages, we will tell you. We like to be very open and honest with candidates and give you the best feedback we can so that you have the best chance of changing some behaviors and moving forward in the process. So POPAD and ethos, if you don't pass those, we have different guidelines set out for your timelines of when you can reapply for those. So those are pretty clear-cut and dry ones. If you don't pass some of the stages due to some behavioral issues, we'll try and kind of share the details on that. We can't always go into full detail, but we try and give you some guided feedback about maybe behaviors you can change or some areas that we were concerned about. You will get different responses from us. So one could be a deferral, like, hey, we just feel you're a little immature. Maybe work on a few of these things, come back in a couple years. Or ultimately, you could be closed from our process. So that is, no, we just don't think you're a fit for us and we don't see you working here, and we will close your application. And you just need to remember throughout the entire process, I did touch on it a little bit earlier, that it is all a competition, and you're in the process, yes, but you're in a competition with everyone else who is going through the same process as you. So you need to be as competitive as you can at every stage. And there are going to be people who are more competitive than you. So at the end of the day, that may be the reason, is that you just didn't rise to the top. Anything to add for that?
No, I think that was great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit now about experienced officers. If you are not a brand new recruit to us and you've been a police officer in another jurisdiction, we usually like about 2 years of policing in other agency, but we're open to speaking with you at any point, really. So the first step is you still need to do your ILQ with us. The steps are very similar. You submit your resume still in cover letter, and then you will get your ILQ out to you, and then you'd have the suitability, then the management, then you will still do psych testing, then we'll have a background investigation, then polygraph, and then medical. So you do not need to run the POPAT, and you do not need to redo the ethos with us if you are an experienced officer.
Yeah, and I think we've had some that we've processed in 6 weeks. It can be very quick for some, so just so that you know that as well.
Yeah. Okay, and then I will speak on another opportunity we have for employment, which is our operational support officers. So this is a great stepping stone if you're maybe a younger applicant or you don't have a lot of policing experience. So our operational support officers, they work right alongside our members out on the road, and they can do tasks like help with property, they can work at a traffic point, so they can do they're not allowed to be involved in anything that's dangerous or something in progress, but they really do work alongside officers and get a very first-hand glimpse of what our officers are doing every day. They follow along with a shift, and so it's a really, really great stepping stone, and it can just show you what the job is like and ensure it's something that you want to do, as well as show us as the agency what you are capable of and if we think we should kind of move you along. And our operational support officers, we really are hiring to be officers in the future. Like, we see something in you, we want to hire you here, you're just not quite ready to be a recruit yet, but we want you here, and then we hope you can progress along into a recruit. So it really is a very similar application process as the full recruit. You'll submit your resume and cover letter, then you have to do your ILQ. One of the differences for the ethos exam, you just need the 60%, you do not need the 70%. You still have to run and pass our POPAT, and then you do the 2.4 kilometer run. Then you'll have a suitability interview, then management, background, poly, and medical.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. I think I don't even know the exact number, but I think I want to say roughly 30, only 2 or 3 haven't been hired. The rest have all been excellent. So it is, and I had an OSO say to me not long ago, he said, I wish every police officer would go through this program, like every new recruit. It really got them armed, ready for the JI. And so it's such a great program. And you get, once you're sworn in as an OSO, you're right into our union, our benefits, all of that. So it's actually quite lucrative that way. Okay, so we do have other opportunities here. So if you're maybe not quite ready yet, but you want to get involved with the Abbotsford Police in some fashion, we are always hiring records front counter. I'm going to pump them up a little bit, our civilian opportunities here, because they're always looking for some great people to join their teams as well. And it's a great way to kind of get in the house a little bit. And as well as the commissionaire positions. Currently we have ones that work in our inventory and in our cells. So again, becoming, you get to see members, have conversations with them, and kind of work in the house a little bit, which I think is excellent. But we never want to forget about our amazing volunteer positions we have here, and I can confidently say that over the years, we've had so many contacts with volunteers here because I would say probably 60-70% of them do want to become police officers. So victim services, working in our community police office in a variety of positions there. Another great volunteer opportunity is our reserve program. Our reserves are a great part of our team here in that they do many community events. They get deployed with our members. They get ride-alongs themselves, and they're our future. They're the ones that we're going to be looking to when we've got OSO competitions coming. Reserves are a great way to get out into our community, work alongside our police officers, and become part of our team. One thing we have that's really exciting that we started last year that was funded and fully supported by the Abbotsford Police Foundation is the AbbyPD mentoring program. This is a program that we started to really engage kids that kind of have graduated kind of in the in-between stages. Maybe going to university, those types of things. So between the ages of 17 and 22 who have an active interest in becoming a police officer with us. And so what we're doing with that program is we're trying to get these kids in a little earlier, get you in a little earlier, and roadmap you on the front end to a roadmap to success in becoming an OSO, a volunteer with us. So we've had, this will be our 4th block of mentoring that we've done, and I can confidently say we've hired a number of victim services volunteers, commissionaires, OSOs. We've just had an OSO go to become now a recruit. Like, it's been fantastic. So again, a great program that you can go online under the tab mentoring program and have a look and see when those intakes are. We usually will do one in spring and in the fall. The spring one will start at about February. We'll be looking for candidates, and the fall one about August we start looking at candidates. So just have that in your minds. And again, check on the Instagram for some of those. So again, ages 17 to 22, looking for somebody with great character, integrity, maturity, all those things to join the program. And the process is quite simple. We try to keep it not too onerous. It's a resume and cover letter with an application. And then you'll submit full paperwork under a volunteer umbrella. You'll be required to do a run, the 6-lap run, so it's 2.4 kilometers, 6 laps. Around a track here in town, and then you'll have a suitability and meeting with some recruiters, and we'll learn all about you and sort of what your goals are, and then we'll make some selections and have the decision. We can only take 16 max at a time, unfortunately. We've had usually between 50 and 60 applicants. We can only take the top 16 to work through the mentoring program. It's an 8-week program, Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings, a combination of classroom work and physical work and judo and all the fun things that we do on Saturdays. So
running,
oh yeah, all the things. Yeah, super exciting and something we really love. We have a lot of passion for, and it's also reaching out to the youth in our immediate area. Like, we know that recruiting is going to get challenging over the next number of years, with Surrey, of course, being it's a big beast coming in now. So everyone's going to start actively recruiting. So we're really trying to do a bit of a wraparound effect with Abbotsford, Mission, Chilliwack, Langley, and really focusing on those communities to draw from in our future, which we think is going to happen in the next 3-4 years. And yeah, I think that almost sums up our little thing here. We'll talk really quickly about some common questions that we get. So as Constable Clifford said, we've really reiterated the readiness of the application is critical. Nothing frustrates us more, especially when we think we have a really good candidate, especially once they go through the POPAT. We've met them, we have kind of a relationship, and then they go into the suitability and the management, and then they're just not ready to give their interviews. So if you know now interviewing is not in your wheelhouse, that's when you got to start getting on that and getting ready. Other questions we've had, what are sort of the hours, like how does that work? What's our shift pattern?
So our shift pattern here in Abbotsford, we do in patrol, which is where every officer starts. You do 2 days and 2 nights. So our days are a 7 to 7, and then our nights are a 6 to 6. Yeah, so day shift 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You'll do 2 of those in a row, and then you kind of have what's your swing day. So you get the daytime off in that day, and then you'll go into your night shift, which will be a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then after you do your 2 days, 2 nights, then you get 4 days off. And repeat.
Repeat, recycle. Yeah. It's one of those things I think that you get used to. Like you don't, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
And you're with your family. Like the patrol shifts are family members to you, so you kind of get excited to see them. Even like the midnight, little chatter every now and again.
Yeah.
So those are that. We also have, I think, what's pretty good. Stat time. You want to talk about stat time?
Sure.
What that is?
So our in terms of time off. So you can get, when you're a new officer, you get 120 hours of vacation time, and so that obviously goes up the more years of service you have, and then you also get 156 hours in your stat bank. So this is, instead of say Canada Day. You don't get paid double time or time and a half. We just work all the days, and then at the beginning of the year you'll get what is called a stat bank, and that's kind of these 156 hours to make up for all those stats and just getting paid base pay on those. So yeah, you can end up with some good chunks of holidays.
One of the things we know is that when you become a police officer, you're going to have a lot of exposure to potentially some not very great things. And so we have many systems in place to help surround you and support you. One of those is our CISM team, which is Critical Incident Stress Management. It's a team that will come out and check on you, see how you're doing, and then be able to offer supports and potential psychological benefits or things to be thinking about in the coming weeks as you move through that challenging situation. Yeah, I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this info session. And if you can make one of our in-person ones that we'll have, definitely come up and shake our hands or say hello. We'll also have online ones over the next, probably 3 to 4 times a year. We'll offer those. And of course, meet the recruiter opportunities. And so meet the recruiters when you can come in with your resume, cover letter, sit down with the recruiter, and actually we'll tell you exactly where you're at and what you need to do. So all kinds of reach out. Please take advantage of those things. Don't come in blind. And we hope to have you working alongside with us real soon.
Yeah.
Take care.